Welcome back. This is episode 2 of the Arkins Hearth, a new podcast from Not Dead Yet Productions. I am your host, Michael Jason Chandler, and with me are my co-hosts,
Thorin Wolf, owner of Arkins Juice Tavern and Arkins Hearth Gaming. And to my right,
the Ginger. I've never seen the Alien movies. And to my right,
Pixie, you've never seen the Alien movie? It's
Seriously?
okay, neither have I, but...
You haven't?
No, but the Xenomorph is like I have like a massive hyperfixation on the Xenomorph for absolutely no reason, and I've never seen
You
it.
realize there's like multiple movies. There's a TV show
there's
called...
different
I
Xenomorphs?
have seen Predator versus Alien. That's the only one of those
Oh,
movies
God.
I've
That's
seen.
not... Okay.
I too was shocked to hear that Pixie had never seen them because they love the Xenomorph so much.
That is
But,
my
like,
main in Fortnite. Is
The
the
Xenomorph is really
Didn't
cool.
you 3D print a Xenomorph?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry,
I
Ripley.
love Xenomorphs. We call my dog that.
Ripley is the primary
Yeah.
last survivor. She was a
Yes.
feminine icon. You're women,
She's
right?
kinda hot.
No, for reals, absolutely.
I mean, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Come
And
on.
he's
so-
Sigourney Weaver.
So we'll do some homework. We'll go watch the Alien movies. But anyway, we're talking
We
about
should-
aliens because...
Yes, for our second episode, we are going to begin a series.
A trilogy, if you will.
Yeah, well,
Willogy.
A three-willogy.
Free Willy? No.
Willogy, guys.
Okay, that one's somewhere weird. No, ultimately, we had not intended to do a trilogy or a series for our second episode or to begin one. But when I began researching the Aztec UFO crash, I discovered that it happened in 1948, only 8 months after the 1947 Roswell crash.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then I discovered that 2 years after that, there was a armada of unknown flying objects that flew over our hometown here in Farmington, New Mexico. So I just as a little lead in, I want to tell you about where we live. We are citizens of the United States. Yes, that's right. New Mexico is in the United States. Please stop asking.
If I get asked one more time, do you know, actually, Mexico is apparently named after New Mexico?
No. That's not correct. I actually taught New Mexico history last year, and that is incorrect.
I just saw this documentary.
So,
I hate the internet.
Nueve
Mexico.
Mexico
Nueve Mexico.
was, Mexico comes from Mexico City, which was what Tenochtitlan was named when it was settled by the Spanish or conquered by the Spanish. And then when the conquistadors moved north, searching for another city of gold, another rich city to conquer and take and make into another new Mexico. Huh? You with me?
I'd always been taught that in school. But I recently saw this thing on the interwebs, which should have just told me, why am I even bothering now? That New Mexico was named after a Mexican god, and I can't pronounce the name of that god.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be the new one or whatever.
I'm going off of the recognized historian of New Mexico who taught an entire series on YouTube called New Mexico History, which I use in my New Mexico history class, and I'm going with him, man. A lot of people don't know. You know what? Even other history teachers that I worked with didn't know the origin of the name New Mexico. And so it's not an idiot thing. And I mean, half of the nation doesn't know that we're a state.
I know. That
is wild to me.
I mean, people ask all the time. I've had people ask if I need a passport
green card
or a green card.
Yep.
And I know I'm an American.
So I did a quick Google. The name Mexico, like the word Mexico, is related to a powerful Aztec god.
Okay,
so that could be what you were getting out of it.
It was 3 a.m. I was delusional, and
I'm always delusional, man. Like
that's just the spectrum, the ADHD, and the diabetes all fighting each other.
Just so everyone knows, New Mexico is the 47th state in our wonderful union. We actually predated our Arizona, just weeks before Arizona, which is 48.
Take that, Arizona. No, I'm joking.
And then, of course, Alaska and Hawaii. But we are a state, so please don't ask if we're not, because that annoys
You
New
do
Mexicans.
not need a passport to get here. Just come
No.
visit.
And what I realized when I was researching the Aztec crash, which Aztec, we're in Farmington, New Mexico, but Aztec, New Mexico is only 12 miles away from where we're sitting. Roswell is not far,
100
basically 100 miles.
100
It's the
miles
same
away?
state. It's all pretty close. And then Farmington, which will be the Farmington Armada, will be our third episode in this trilogy, is where we're sitting.
Which is 8 seconds away.
It's where we are, yeah. So, so when I discovered that there were 3 major UFO events within 2 years, 2.5 years roughly, right here in our home state, home area, town we're sitting in, I decided that we needed to cover all 3. So today we're going to cover Roswell, baby.
Woo! Sweet.
Roswell, which is roughly half the size of Farmington, where we live, about 50,000 people now, was at the time of the UFO phenomenon, basically a 3-road town with a bunch of ranches and oil field. It was basically in 1947, there was barely anything there.
BFE.
Yeah. In 1947, a crash, a cover-up, and the birth of a UFO phenomenon would change the world and how we saw our government. So following the Second World War, in the deserts of New Mexico, the birthplace of the atomic bomb, and also a main testing area for military planes, both American and those taken from Nazi Germany after the war, a crash and recovery ignited the fears and imagination of a nation. This event, in which the U.S. Army Air Force reported recovering a flying disc from a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico, only then to retract that statement the very next day, would open a Pandora's box of debate, conspiracy theory, and dreams about our universe. The conflicting military reports, secrecy during the early Cold War, and later witness accounts transformed a simple debris recovery into the most famous UFO mystery in American history.
So, another crazy could not be true fact, but my 6th grade teacher taught me this. Actually, I think it was my 4th grade teacher. We went to Santa Fe
Okay.
on a field trip.
About a 3-hour travel from where we're at, yeah.
And he brought us to this bridge in Santa Fe. I could not take it to you today because that was a million years ago, but I could figure it out. He told us that this is the bridge where the plans for the atomic bomb got switched from German scientists' hands to American scientists in a Kellogg's cereal box. I don't know if that's true,
Yeah.
but that might be a fun fact for people to look up.
We'll have to research that. But, were the nuclear plans, did they change hands here in New Mexico and Santa Fe? We'll have to research that. Maybe that's a whole episode for later. So, by 1947, the U.S. possessed atomic weapons, but we feared Soviet technological breakthroughs. National security and secrecy was quickly becoming one of the United States government's primary concerns. In the same year, before Roswell, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold reported 9 fast-moving objects near Mount Rainier and coined the term flying saucer. With Cold War tensions after the trauma of the First and Second World Wars, the Army Air Force was under a great deal of pressure to identify any unconventional aerial activity. In early 1947, a rancher by the name W.W. Mac Brazel, it's kind of a cool name, Mac Brazel.
Mac Brazel.
He found scattered metallic debris, described later as thin, flexible, and unusually lightweight metals on Foster Ranch, about 75 miles from Roswell. But that was the closest settlement.
Okay, so because that was the closest settlement, that's how Roswell got to claim it?
Basically, I mean,
So it didn't even happen in Roswell?
75 miles, that does actually seem pretty far away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
That's further away than from here to Durango, and that's
Yeah,
another
that's
state.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've got to understand that New Mexico at that point was just flat desert. As
That's
far
right.
as the eyes could see, there was nothing here. And there weren't a lot of towns, and that was the closest place. And so when he found the debris, he called the police officer from Roswell, and a police officer came from Roswell. So I think because he was the first one to report it to the military, I think that's why Aztec became the place.
You mean Roswell?
You're correct. So
What did you say?
He said
I said Aztec.
That's next episode, Jason.
Correction.
Spoiler alert.
So no. So to correct, Mac Brazel called Roswell police, and the Roswell sheriff came out, and I think that's what connected Roswell to the crash. So Brazel brought the material to the sheriff, who contacted the Roswell Army Airfield, or RAF, and that was the Army Air Force.
Not to be confused with the Royal Air Force.
Or the Aztec Air Force.
Or my second favorite Ninja Turtle.
Roswell Army Airfield, people. We're just going to call it RAF because it's easier. So the RAF issued a press release stating that it had discovered a flying disc, and this drew national media coverage. I don't think they realized that everyone's going to go, oh my God, UFO!
Aliens!
Right.
Aliens!
And so news outlets from coast to coast published headlines suggesting that the military had captured this mysterious object. But the moment was very short-lived. Within 24 hours, the Army Air Force changed its story. Now they claim the debris came from a weather balloon. They even had a press conference where they had a major in the Army Air Force that was originally involved with the recovery of the debris make a statement and pose with debris that was tinfoil, wood sticks, rubber, just materials for a balloon.
You mean things that you could go down to the hardware store 5 minutes away and absolutely buy? And
well, now it was 75 miles away in
that's
1947,
true, yeah.
But
I mean, you could drive 75 miles and drive back in a day.
Oh, yeah.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
They said they had a press release and they said, oh, it was just a weather balloon. So most newspapers accepted this new explanation, and the story faded from public attention for decades. Because remember, this is 1947, and people believed their government and believed the news at this point. Things were different back then. For more than 30 years, Roswell was largely forgotten outside of UFO circles.
Not
But
to be confused with crop circle.
no, we're talking. These are just people who are into UFOs.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was just joking. The jokes for the riffs.
The jokes are for the people. When interviewed years later, when interviewed in later decades, some participants, military personnel, claimed that the debris displayed in the press was not what they originally removed.
Shocker!
Wow.
Now, Jason, I actually looked up on my my cell phone World War II era round planes.
Okay.
And I did come up with something that might be close to this. It is the Vought V-173.
Right.
If you guys want to look that up.
I have actually seen this before.
This is the only round plane that I can find.
Right.
But it seems like it would be too small. It's a one-seater, it looks like. Maybe a two.
Well, and nobody had a size for how big this craft actually was. In
okay.
Aztec, there's a craft and a size, but
Right.
not for Roswell.
And I know that we looked up that stuff, but we'll get into that later.
Right. We'll get into that next episode.
But also, if it was a military plane from that time, why would they go through all this trouble to say it was a balloon?
Yeah, that is kind
Because if it was already a plane that they were using actively after World War II, like, the planes would have been seen.
Right, but we're also talking about an era where a lot of aviation was being tested.
That's true.
It could have been a secret something that, we were coming out
Classified.
Or something that we got from Germany, because, there's a lot of weird German planes
Yeah.
from that era.
And remember, this is the beginning of the Cold War. We're freaking out about the Russians.
Yeah.
And anything new was hidden. We didn't want the communist threat or the Red Scare to get a hold of these things. And that led to a lot of cover-ups, which would ultimately lead to a lot of distrust for the government.
Also, I'd like to state that, I'm not trying to debunk this. I'm just trying to... Because do I believe in intelligent life in the universe? Dear Lord, I hope there's something more intelligent than us out there.
Oh, God.
But I just wanted to say, there were things that could have been.
Oh, yeah.
And I do believe that there could have been experimental technology in the 1940s that they're still not telling us about now. If it's experimental and if it's classified, it could still be classified to this day. And we could have advanced versions of that now. It could be old drone technology. It could be, stop. I was born in 1978. I'm not that old.
1776.
1978, shut up. But anyways, there could have been something that was experimental that they would have covered up. But the problem was saying, oh, we found this disc, and then turning around and saying, no, it was a balloon. It wasn't believable, but people did believe it. They believed it, and it went away, except for the UFO researchers that never gave it up. In 1978, an interview led by nuclear physicist and UFO researcher Stanton Friedman about the changing military story and press release claiming the craft was just a weather balloon revived widespread interest in Roswell. Roswell would, from that time on, become a UFO focal point for our nation and those who believed that we are not alone in the universe. In 1994, the U.S. Air Force claimed that the debris in Roswell was actually a result of a classified military project called Project Mogul. This operation involved arrays of high-altitude balloons equipped with radar reflectors that could detect low-frequency sound waves from nuclear detonations. This was developed specifically to detect Soviet atomic tests.
So all Cold War stuff.
Yeah, and this was a release in the 90s where they said,
Oh, this is after the Cold War.
Yeah, well, but they're saying that back in the Cold War, when we found the stuff in Roswell, it was an air balloon and it was specifically for Project Mogul.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got a little sidetracked.
Confused.
I apologize.
And in 1997, they also had a report alleging that alien body sightings and misremembered tests involving the supposed alien bodies that were discovered during the Roswell crash were actually test dummies. And they had misremembered what they'd seen, the witnesses, I guess. Historians argue that the secrecy of Project Mogul explains the initial confusion and hurried military action and messaging. Some UFO researchers contend that eyewitness reports of the unusual materials, bodies that they claim were not crash test dummies, and rapid military response cannot be fully reconciled with the Mogul explanation. I don't know, personally.
So, you said 30 years later is when it came back to life. Did they have witness statements from 48, or was a lot of it from the 70s?
Well, so there were only a couple of people involved. So there was the rancher. He brought the materials into the sheriff. Yes, there were some statements from them at the time, but the sheriff took it immediately to the military. And really, I don't think anybody would have known Roswell existed if the military hadn't then gone on the news and said, look, we found a disc, Yeah. Their initial release is what gave it national attention. So the statements, it was basically a couple of guys. And there were statements from these guys, and none of that can really be contested. They found this stuff. None of that's really changed. What's changed is first it was a craft, then it was an air balloon. Then 30 years later, when it got interesting again, people started getting really into it. Eventually, the government responded in the 90s by saying, okay, we had this Project Mogul and that's where it came from.
So that's a hole in their explanation.
Depends on how you look at it. I mean, maybe manned balloons. I don't know. The question is, why are people misremembering test dummies in connection to a Roswell if it's a balloon? The modern UFO conspiracy culture developed a lot out of this Roswell debate, and Roswell shaped contemporary ideas about government cover-ups. This set a template of sorts for later UFO debate. Through the initial explanation of the quote-unquote weather balloon, people were silenced for years. Roswell shaped contemporary ideas about government cover-ups, setting the template for later UFO debates. Though the initial explanation of the weather balloon was accepted for years, events like Vietnam and the Kennedy assassination made Americans far less likely to believe what the government told them. Though the initial explanation of the weather balloon was accepted for years, this set the stage for what Roswell would become. And that would be a cultural icon. Books, films, tourist attractions like the International UFO Museum, the
Defoe Museum. I would totally go to the William Defoe Museum.
Okay.
This is him when he was in Spider-Man as the Green Goblin.
Oh, God, shut up.
This was him while he was in several different
We're recording, people.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And that would be a cultural icon. Books, films, and tourist attractions, from the International UFO Museum to TV series like The X-Files, kept Roswell alive in the public imagination. The incident influenced demands for declassification, helping spark modern congressional hearings on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP. Phenomena. Okay, we got to stop. We all did that at the same time. In 1947, the military had little experience handling UFO-related reports, leading to hasty and conflicting statements. Ironically, We find this out in the next 2 episodes. They don't even bother to cover things up after this. They just keep it from getting out.
They learn their lesson.
They learn their lesson. Classified projects often required misdirection, and this contributed to public suspicion. Actually, I think it caused a lot of problems.
What's the word? I said it yesterday.
Phenomenon. Phenomenon.
Okay, anyway, what's the word you said yesterday?
For the redirection, sabotage,
Subterfuge.
subterfuge. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so subterfuge.
Right.
Okay.
Subterfuge, misdirection. This contributed to the public suspicion and also the growing lack of trust that people had in the U.S. government, which I think nowadays everyone would agree is so pervasive. Everyone has some level of distrust for the government. I would imagine our younger hosts probably have never lived in a world where anybody really trusted the government fully.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, and even when I was a kid, it was different. I can tell you, when I was young, patriotism and trust for the government was sort of an expectation, at least.
Oh, yeah. Especially out here in the Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't question your government and everybody
We're
should
going to
serve.
go watch the 4th of July fireworks. And if you don't cry, you're a cunt.
You did more sound effects. It's just like last episode. Thank you for that.
No, we're not doing Foley work. No, we're getting a soundboard.
You just did a spit take.
Yeah,
It's
it was
awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I'm telling you, you are our sound guy.
No, I am not. It's going to sound like crap when you go to edit this.
You know what? It's going in.
No.
So, the contradictory press releases later claimed that the military personnel admitted to lying when told to do so, and the many other UFO-related events from Roswell to modern day created a narrative gap that fuels speculation to this day. Recent U.S. congressional hearings on UAPs highlight continuing concerns over the unexplained aerial phenomena, though none directly validate any extraterrestrial interpretation. Roswell remains a case study in how limited information can produce an enduring mystery.
And that's why they didn't cover up like the further, like the more recent stuff, like
Right.
like Aztec or the Farmington Armada.
I think, I think after this, they didn't respond. It just became easier to say,
You're all just crazy.
you're crazy. That's classified. Don't talk about it. We don't know what you're talking about, you know.
You saw nothing. Like,
Plausible deniability.
You know, I'm
I
pretty
think-
blind. It's possible I did see nothing.
Yeah, well,
oh, you lost your glasses.
Yeah, they broke, bro. Okay, look.
Wait, does everybody at
I
this table
can't
wear
look.
glasses?
well, not anymore.
Well, not
Hers
anymore.
broke.
Yeah.
Right down the freaking middle.
Or theirs broke. I apologize.
You are perfectly fine.
I am bad at pronouns, but I'm learning, folks.
I am not offended.
Let's just cut that.
It has not helped that many of the witness statements that were collected decades after the event and are subject to memory distortion cause pause and question. Eyewitness accounts are always limited by human perception and environmental factors, limiting accuracy in the moment. Adding decades of time to forget and reinterpret memory does not help with human accuracy. And as science fiction and UFO culture grew, interpretations of past events sometimes shifted to match new expectations. The Roswell incident demonstrates how secrecy, uncertainty, and conflicting information can transform a localized event into a global legend. Despite extensive government reports, witness interviews, and ongoing research, no definitive explanation has satisfied all investigators, or likely ever will. What is certain is that Roswell reshaped American culture, inspiring generations of researchers, skeptics, and storytellers. Whether viewed as a Cold War misunderstanding, a cover-up, or a pivotal moment in UFO history, Roswell remains a symbol of mystery and a reminder of how strongly people seek answers to the unknown. Man, that sounds really cool. But if you've ever actually been to Roswell,
There's nothing there. Well, I mean, like, it's grown. It has absolutely grown.
it's about half the size of Farmington now.
Yeah. But like, there's the two things to see in Roswell is the McDonald's with the UFO built into the middle of it,
Absolutely.
and
Not the actual UFO people, unfortunately. It's not the crashed UFO.
No, it's totally the real one.
No, it's the real one?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like,
not-
aliens were awesome
And made it out of plastic and put it in a
and,
Like,
and
you guys
made it a
watch this.
play place.
Yeah.
They said, here you go, guys, entertain your kids.
Well, there's that, and there's the UFO museum.
Yes, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
On the vein of
Dang, Jason.
Cut that out.
Sorry.
On the vein of McDonald's,
Oh,
the one that they just built in Bloomfield,
Mhm.
where I live.
Right.
It's only been there for like 2 weeks, and the lights on the inn are already out. So every time we pass it, it says McDowald's, and I laugh my ass off because what is a McDowald's?
It's a place where you can buy chicken nougats. That would sound kind of disgusting.
Chicken nougats. That sounds really bad.
It sounds disgusting.
Nasty.
And McDougal's.
At McDougal's. No,
McDougal's.
it's New Mexico. I hate to say that, but if you've ever driven out on the reservation, we live very close to the Navajo reservation. It's literally a stone's throw away. And if you drive through the reservation, have you ever noticed how many Starbucks and how many McDonald's there are?
Yeah.
We got to the point, my wife and I have a thing where we go, McDonald's, we're saved. Starbucks, thank God. Every time we see one, just because it happens so often.
That's funny, actually.
It's a married thing.
I mean, it's a fun game.
Yeah, better than her hitting me on the shoulder every time.
I miss Slug Bug.
Oh, man. We did this thing called the license plate game, where if there was 2 letters next to each other, then you counted to that letter in the alphabet and punched them. Or if it was 2 numbers next together, then you punched them for whatever.
You all are
that is.
so violent.
Except when it was 3, then you got to do it triple the amount, right?
What if
so
it was...
one time, I saw one with a triple Z, and I look at my sister, and she looks at me and bolts, dude. Like, I've never seen her run so fast.
This sounds like a game your brother made up.
No, actually, me and my cousin made it up.
So people, just to say, violence against family members is not good. We do not condone it here.
Unless you're the oldest sibling?
I'm the middle child.
I'm the baby, man. I got beat up all the time. That's not cool.
That's the only reason you're even saying this announcement.
Exactly.
As an oldest child, sibling rivalries are just fine.
Well, folks,
fine.
That is the end of Roswell. References and verifiable resources will be on the notes for the episode. Our next episode will be on the Aztec crash, which, though not as big a deal, I mean, it didn't redefine UFO culture and make us question the government because mostly nobody heard about it.
I don't know. Those Aztecians, they get kind of crazy about it.
They do, but it's an interesting story because it just vanished. And you're going to find that when we go through the story, it vanished for the weirdest reasons.
I feel like this episode was a lot shorter than the last episode.
Maybe. Yeah, it was fewer pages.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Again, Roswell is not that interesting.
It's an interesting...
You're not wrong.
It's interesting because of what the military did. I mean, really, a rancher found a bunch of junk in his field, and it was weird. So he took it to the sheriff, and the sheriff said, "This is weird." So he gave it to the military, and the military said,
Shut up
"It's a
about
flying." No, they said it's a flying saucer. Wait, no, it's a balloon. That's why it's a big deal. If they hadn't covered it up, it probably would have never materialized into anything that interesting. It would have just been a rancher found some weird junk on his yard. But they made a national incident.
Hoopla.
Yeah, they made it into a national incident. But no, the Aztec crash is more interesting because it's an intact vessel.
Ooh.
And there's descriptions of an actual intact vessel, which is cool. But it vanished for 70 years.
Do we get to talk about that today?
Not today, no. We're going to go ahead and cover that on our next episode. But folks, thank you so much again for listening. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends.
Do all the things.
Do all the things. What was that? McDowalls to get your chicken nuggets. And, if you enjoy this... If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. If you don't enjoy it, I'm sorry. Criticize me online. And otherwise, we look forward to hearing from you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Have a good day.